Sidney Crosby, 1,400 points. Overtime winner. Pittsburgh gets the victory over the Nashville Predators. Headed down the stretch in the NHL regular season. The NBA playoffs begin this week. We're going to preview those coming up shortly. The NBA regular season has wrapped up. We got the Masters to get to, but we're going to start with what everybody was talking about on the internet. This is Interesting to See, your daily sports podcast with me, Nick. And tragic news over the weekend. Former Ohio State quarterback and current Pittsburgh Steelers probably backup quarterback Dwayne Haskins was jogging next to Highway in Florida, where he was training with some former college teammates and some current NFL teammates, and he was struck and killed by a motorist at the age of 24, which is incredibly tragic. Dwayne, I don't remember exactly what happened, but I do know that the Ohio State teams he was on, of course, were crazy good. I think he was a Heisman Trophy finalist. He was a very, very good quarterback in college. Drafted 16, 17 overall, something like that, to Washington, where it didn't work out. He was cut and then signed by the Steelers, where he was the backup quarterback, I do believe, or third-string quarterback, trying to become the backup quarterback. The reason we have to talk about this is because the way that it was reported by Adam Schefter and then comments by some person named Gil Brandt, who I actually don't know what Gil Brandt does. He's an NFL.com analyst. Yeah, he is a Hall of Fame vice president of personnel for the Dallas Cowboys, and to tell you what a douche he is, his profile picture is his bronze bust in the Hall of Fame, which is the douchiest thing. What a douche. And he had some bad comments, but let's start with the Adam Schefter's original tweet, which just shows what a skeezy, spineless loser Adam Schefter is. Dwayne Haskins, a standout at Ohio State, before struggling to catch on with Washington and Pittsburgh in the NFL, died this morning. That's how we introduced him. Not like son, father, husband. Dwayne Haskins, a standout at Ohio State before struggling to catch on with Washington and Pittsburgh in the NFL, died. Adam deleted that tweet. Adam really is just a spineless, soulless loser. He really is. There's really no other way to say it. But you know what he is. He's just, he's for sale. He's not a real person. He's for sale. Not a very good. I mean, his daughter is going to spend a lot of time apologizing for him in college if she continues down her media career, which is what it is. Then Gil Brandt, I'm not going to play what he said, but he said something along the lines of, this was a guy who lived to die. Maybe if he'd have stayed in school for another year, he wouldn't have done something silly like jog next to a highway. Oh, buddy. Not a great look from Gil. A lot of the backlash here is like, there are undertones of racism with Gil. There have always been. He's very well respected in the league. It would be nice for everybody involved in football if he would just kind of go away. But he won't. Here he is, just still talking. So that was the tragic news over the weekend. Dwayne, he was going out too much and partying too much when he was with Washington, got cut. And as a result of that, it seemed like he kind of hit rock bottom in terms of his football career, went to Pittsburgh, and things seemed like they were starting to turn around for him in Pittsburgh as a professional athlete. But his teammates loved him in Pittsburgh. They loved him in Washington. And they certainly loved him in college. A lot of his teammates, former Ohio State teammates, which were a really great team, Terry McLaurin, Paris Campbell, and a bunch of others reaching out on Twitter and whatnot to send their condolences to Dwayne Haskins. All right, let's go to the Masters. Talk about something positive. This guy, Scotty Scheffler, who is just so boring. It was the most boring day at the Masters ever. There was no point in watching. I watched for like 5 minutes. Like, this is dumb. Scotty Scheffler won. He 4-putted on 18 to win. That's how much he was winning by. He won by 3 after 4-putting on 18. Good for him. Makes it nice and easy peasy. Tiger Woods looked awful. His ankle hurt a lot. So he's had ankle problems. It's one of the reasons he hadn't been playing golf in recent months. But, walking on all of that stuff for 4 days, which ends up being like 10 miles or something, to say nothing of swinging and all of that. Not great for the old paws, man. And so he looked like garbage, but he finished the tournament, and it's cool to have him there, and it's exciting, and hopefully he'll win 1 or 2 more big tournaments that'll make things fun and interesting. There's really nothing else to report on the Masters. I mean, the narrative on the Masters was it was not fun. It was dumb. It was boring, which is incredibly disappointing. Obviously, that's how it goes, though. That's how golf goes. Okay, let's go to. I think we'll wrap up with the association. So let's move over to hockey. We mentioned Sidney Crosby got his 1,400th point, which is incredible. Pittsburgh looks like one of those teams that could end up winning the whole thing. So we're looking at all-time points list. 1,400 gets Sidney Crosby. You know what's really interesting is Ovechkin's got him by 3 points. Where's the games played? All right, I might as well bring this up. I'll bring this up for you. Can you see it? Sure. So this is Sid right here. And this is Ovi right here. Ovi has 167 more games played. Ovi also has 261 more goals. That's wild. But they're very similar in points. When was the last time two guys really lived up to hype? I was thinking about this the other day, and a question posed on Facebook by an old friend. Did they live up to the hype? Did they save hockey? I think that they did. That has to do with narrative and whatnot. But if you look at Sidney Crosby, Alexander Ovechkin, and LeBron James, frankly, three guys who, like, when they came up, they were like, yeah, this guy might actually be the greatest player of all time. And it's not an unsound argument. I know that people are like, if the argument is like, are you better than Jordan? Are you better than Wayne Gretzky? Then you can say that you were successful. It's not often young kids live up to the hype. So the next big, so if he's played for 1,100 games and he has 1,400 points, which is crazy. Let's see. He's getting kind of older. Sidney, it's not impossible that we could see him get to 1,600, right? Which would be 10th all-time, top 10. He's got a ways to go there. The crazy Mario Lemieux, people forget about him. He played less than 1,000 games and had 1,700 points. There is a very, very good argument that he's actually the greatest player of all time. Not impossible there. So congratulations to Sidney Crosby. Let's take a look at some scores from around the NHL. We have a while to go in the NHL, which is great. I told you how fussy I was that they didn't want to play the playoffs in July because July and June are so boring for pro sports. But thank the Lord above, the novel coronavirus Omicron variant came around and pushed. That's a joke, obviously, but it pushed a bunch of games back because there's so many games that are played in Canada and travel restrictions that during the holiday, a bunch of games were canceled and the league shut down for like a week. They had a bye week, which they should do that always. I don't know why the NHL is pure stupidity in North America to compete with college football and pro football during the holiday season. Just like complete stupidity. Just give the boys a week off. Make it a players' league. So the last games are, I believe, on Sunday, April 29th, which would be NFL draft weekend, and then the playoffs start. I think it was originally scheduled to be like 2 weeks ago, or about a week from now, or a couple of days from now, that the regular season would end. But we have 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks left of. Is that right? 2 weeks? What's today? 14 plus 11. Yeah, we have like 3 weeks essentially left of regular season NHL hockey, which is really exciting to me because that means maybe the playoffs won't take so long. There's no change. The Florida teams are good. North Carolina is good. The Canadian teams are bad, except for Toronto, who is surging, and Edmonton. We shall see. We'll update you as that goes on. The NBA regular season is gone. Last night was the last night for NBA teams. Cade Cunningham, likely Rookie of the Year for the Detroit Pistons, was shut down. They played the Sixers. The Sixers shut down James Harden and Joel Embiid. Not a lot on the line for the Sixers. Sixers win anyway. It's irrelevant. We'll start with the most important news, which is for those NBA teams out there that want to hopefully win the lottery. Here are the lottery odds as per Tankathon. Houston, Orlando, and Detroit have the highest odds for the number one overall pick. They have similar standings. So after them, there are 5 teams with at least a 10% chance, and Portland has a 9% chance. So the teams with a 10% or greater chance of winning the NBA lottery and getting the first overall pick are Houston, Orlando, and Detroit at 14%, Oklahoma City at 12.5%, and Indiana at 10.5%. Detroit has a 7% chance of getting the 7th overall pick, but they have a 26% chance of getting the 6th overall pick. Houston is guaranteed a top 5 pick, Orlando is guaranteed a top 6 pick, and Detroit is guaranteed a top 7 pick. If you didn't follow any of that, it doesn't really matter. The most interesting part of this is that LA, the Lakers, have a 6% pick of getting the number one a 6% chance of getting the number one overall pick, which would work out for LeBron James very well. So just something to keep your eye on, that the Lakers are in the lottery. Let's go to the NBA bracket. Here's the bracket per NBA.com. If you didn't know, the NBA has play-in games now, which are exactly as stupid as they sound. That means 20 teams of the 30 whatever make the playoffs in the association. Of those 20, all right, you following? 8 of them have to play in this play-in game. So there's 6 teams that make the playoffs, And then there are 8 teams. 6 teams per conference, that's 12, and then there are 8 teams total that make the play-in game. So there are 2 play-in games per conference. In the Western Conference, it's New Orleans. Did you hear what I just said? The Western Conference as New Orleans is playing the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs are, get this is how cool play-in games are. The Pelicans, New Orleans Pelicans, are 10 games under 500. 10 games under 500. 10 games. They're the number 9 seed. They're playing the 10 seed, the San Antonio Spurs, who are 12 games under 500. 12 games. That's one side of the play-in game. The other side of the play-in game have teams that are actually pretty good. Minnesota's 10 games over 500. They're the 7 seed. They're play the Los Angeles Clippers, who are 2 games over 500. The winner of those teams will play Phoenix or Memphis. It's not impossible that the Clippers or Minnesota beat Memphis. That would be kind of crazy. It's not possible that an all-star team between New Orleans and San Antonio would beat Phoenix. On the other side, the play-in teams, and the play-in tournaments happen, I think they happen on Tuesday. Maybe Tuesday and Wednesday. I could be wrong. We'll look into that in a minute. The Atlanta Hawks are 4 games over 500. They're playing the Charlotte Hornets, who are also 4 games over 500. Over. These teams are over. This is fine. The Eastern Conference is very deep. Brooklyn and Cleveland, they are over 500 each. Brooklyn will play Cleveland in the play-in game. The winner of Brooklyn and Cleveland will play Boston. The winner of Atlanta and Charlotte will play Miami, blah, blah, blah. This is all very Googleable. The difference in these situations is that Cleveland, because they have Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and a bunch of depth players like James Johnson and someone they got from the Sixers. Who's the other people they got from the Sixers? Not Danny Green. The Curry. They got a Curry from the Sixers. The Brooklyn could win the NBA championship. It's not impossible. So people believe that the Sixers were doing their very best to tank yesterday. They couldn't tank, but it didn't end up mattering. They're trying to avoid certain teams in the play-in game, which is dumb. Maybe avoid Brooklyn, whatever. Smart money's on Phoenix. Let's take a look at the odds. Who's going to win the NBA Finals? Right now, the champion, enormous, crazy, bananas odds on the Suns. Like, they're so heavy favorite, it would be stupid to bet on them. Then a big gap, then the Bucks, then a big gap, and then the Nets, and then then a big gap, and then the Warriors and a bunch of other teams. The Sixers at plus 1,300 is really interesting. Nobody has any faith in James Harden. After the Sixers, the Grizzlies are plus 1,400. They have 1 star. They need another to be really good. I would bet on the Sixers and the Grizzlies. It's really enticing odds. Also, you have to have a star to win this thing. The Celtics don't have who they need. Jason Tatum's not that guy. Sorry. The Heat don't have who they need. Jimmy Butler's not that guy. Sorry. So the teams that can win for me, in the NBA is very simple. Who's got the best players? The Mavericks may be at plus 2,300. They have Luka. Luka's a little chunky monkey, and that actually does come back to bite him occasionally. The Nuggets are no chance. The Jazz, no chance. Clippers, everybody else, no chance. Sixers, Grizzlies, Warriors, Nets, Bucks, and, of course, the Suns. So I would not bet on the Heat. I would not bet on the Celtics, not bet on the Mavs. I love betting on the Sixers, Grizzlies, and the Warriors. But the Nets being much better odds than the Warriors is weird. It just kind of shows how beloved Kevin Durant is and everything that he can kind of bring to the table. As far as series betting goes, I think we can take this one game at a time. For example, the Sixers sweeping is plus 900, which is what Shaq thinks is going to happen. I think that's stupid. I think Shaq is being cotton-headed ninny-muggins, which is an elf quote. We'll get into betting on and all of that tomorrow. I do want to make sure. Just give me a second. So the play-in games are tomorrow, right? So the Eastern Conference, one game from each conference will be each day. So tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Cavs and Nets, then the Clippers and Timberwolves will tip off after, and then we've got Hawks and Hornets followed by Spurs and Pelicans. So it'll be similar to the NCAA tournament where it'll go this way and that way, which means that the playoffs will start at probably Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So somewhere in there, we'll get to the real NBA playoffs. And this should be starting in like 5 weeks. Thank God we were playing basketball in October. God, what? I'm not going to get over it. I'm not going to get over it. Thanks to the NHL for giving us something to do in June and July. Baseball is back. Vladimir Guerrero. I don't have the clip because the MLB is the worst clip people ever. But, man, dude's hitting bombs. Baseball is back. Bunch of ejections in a college game this weekend. Got plenty to talk about. NFL draft is rounding the corner, and playoffs this week. Playoffs? NBA playoffs. Like, rate, review, subscribe. We'll be back and better than ever tomorrow.